This episode of Minor Obsession is brought to you by the UNC Charlotte Belk College of Business, North Carolina's urban research business school. As alumni of the Belk College ourselves, we encourage you to visit belkcollege.uncc.edu and learn how Charlotte's business school can inspire your career path. Welcome back to another edition of Minor Obsession. Sean Newton here with Scott Lieberman on a very somber Sunday after a loss to App State. Pretty disappointed in our books, but an interesting game. It was a hotly contested game, especially going into halftime. It was close the entire time until we got into the fourth quarter, and really felt like Charlotte was giving App State all they could handle. Both teams had quite a few missed opportunities or turnovers, things like that. Sloppy play in general, which you could expect from a game like this. Scott, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think the season is starting off, kind of as expected, but I thought we played good. We covered the spread. I think it was kind of similar to last year's game, only I think we looked a lot tighter than we did. Obviously, special teams, night and day with that kickoff return for a touchdown, answering quickly. And I think our defense made big plays when they needed to make big plays. And the score, again, isn't really indicative of the final. They scored a touchdown at the very end to enhance it, but they still didn't cover. And they won by 15. But in reality, we were within a possession the entire game. I think we are on the up and up, and they're on the down and down. And I think, their post on Instagram, which we can talk about at some point, was pretty disrespectful and kind of shows the class that's getting recruited there versus our school. And, we won't get to play them again for another 10 years unless this COVID thing continues and we have to do more makeshift because, we're a dream opponent for them and they're, local for us. So we can make that type of thing work. But I think by the time 2030 hits...
Well, 2026 was the one pre-planned, and then 2030...
is when we have the regular back and forth or official rivalry game every year.
Well, 2030 is the one they added to get this season on the books. 2026 was the next time we had scheduled with them. So still 6 years, still a long, long time
By
away.
the time that happens, we're going to be, head and shoulders above the trash that is App. It was a great game. I'm a little angry because I wanted to win, but I think the team should leave with their heads up. They look like they belonged. It didn't look like that bowl game, our last time on the field, where Buffalo really handed it to us. We look like we belong with a team that was ranked in the top 25 last year, and we'll see how they do this year. But I was happy overall. Obviously, the happiest would be a W, but good. And I'm also happy. It's our first time, social distancing, obviously, everyone, but in person doing the pod with, you should notice
8 months.
you should notice the audio quality is just a little bit extrally crisp.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm with you. So I think I'm kind of split down the middle. I'm torn in two. So half of me is like, God, we made some mistakes. App fans can say they tried to give away the game all they wanted, but we did the exact same thing. It was rainy. It was difficult. You could tell Reynolds wasn't really comfortable throwing the ball, and the game calling definitely was a little easier to predict, knowing that the ball was not going to be chucked downfield very much. So on one side, I'm very disappointed that we came in. I don't put App on a pedestal. I don't think they're above us. They can say they have a national championship football caliber school, but they're FCS national champions, so does that really count? And it took them, like 100 years to get to where we're at, and we're already competing with them after a couple years in FBS level school and just a few FCS years to feed into that. So in general, I think our ceiling's way higher. I won't get too down on that. But the other half of me is like, man, if you think about that, this is like our 8th year. 2013 was our first ever football season. It's 2020, and we've got top 25 voted schools that we're hanging with, expect to be able to win, are within a score the entire time, and are able to walk away upset that we didn't win, whereas 3-4 years ago, we would have been happy to be within 3 or 4 touchdowns at this point.
For sure. And I mean, and that's just not even nationally ranked team. We're just talking FBS schools in general. Like
Yeah.
I remember that, those first seasons or two when we went FBS after being FCS and kind of peppering in the FBS games and just seeing night and day when we played an FCS team like an Elon or someone like that and how competitive we were versus, even Georgia State just wrecking us, I remember.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, it's great to see the programs on the up and up. Nothing to be disappointed about. I think it's going to be another rough week coming up, which we'll get into as well. But overall, really good. I thought Haberson looked awesome. I think that's a
Harbison.
I'm going to get that right sooner or later. He's going to get me to
Maybe just call him Trey from now on.
Yeah, Trey looked good.
To be fair, the paid analyst on the TV got it wrong once or twice too. So,
Well, I thought the paid analysts, we could talk about that too. I thought they were interesting. I don't know about the jersey situation. I thought that was cool, but is that real?
there's tons of examples of jerseys that are more difficult to read, and ours was far from being as egregious as other ones. So I can't believe that came up. We obviously had white with gold lettered jerseys several years ago, back when Hassan Klue was still around. I don't think we ever ran into any problems then. I'd have to ask Mike or somebody else if we got any complaints back then. But, I mean, it was super foggy, and you could still see all the numbers pretty clearly. There's some teams that have, like, white jerseys with white numbers with just outlines of the numbers as the only color on them that fly. I think it just boils down to nationally televised game, analysts who don't know much about either school because they don't come across them very often and are finding things to talk about. Our jerseys just got in. They said that a mom was sewing them on. Not really true. It was actually a person in our athletic department who's great, and she was the hero of the day there, spending several hours sewing on those jerseys right before game time to make sure we had them available. And then they just turned it into the story of we should be penalized because they're not right as a talking point. It's classic media, right? They want something that is enticing for people to talk about.
And this is classic media right now. Sean's taking hot takes at the commentators. Meanwhile, he's texting me the whole time. Oh, my God, I'm loving this commentator right now. He's doing a great job.
I did really like the color. I forget his name.
Ozlowski.
Yeah,
He used to play in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. UConn.
I really did like the detail he had. You don't see that a lot. People really got on hot on, what's the QB from Dallas' name? Tony Romo. People got really hot on Tony because he would talk about what the wideouts were getting ready to do and try and do a little play call analysis, stuff like that. And you don't get that everywhere, and he was definitely doing that quite a bit during our game when they weren't talking about jersey colors. And I was really appreciating that. He was breaking down, here's what this wideout's going to do, or you see that motion, I'd really like to see the motion go the other way, things like that. And for a fan that hasn't, coached football themselves or maybe didn't even play football, that's pretty cool commentary to hear, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, definitely cool to be nationally televised on ESPN too. Don't have to fire up an app or anything, and I'm glad we played well on our TV debut. Other call out, and if you want to run through the key plays or the scoring drives or whatnot, I mean, I think it was great that the defensive seniors really stepped up with both of those big turnover stops. DeLuca with that big forced fumble at the beginning of the game when they were on
beautiful.
like the 1 yard line, and then I believe Harris. I don't think he forced the fumble, but he recovered a big fumble there towards the third quarter, fourth quarter.
Yep.
When we had another chance to tie the game, but kind of failed over there in the red zone, green zone, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I love DeLuca's play, and so that goes back to people saying, App tried to give away the game. DeLuca forces fumbles. Before he got hurt last year, he was forcing fumbles. He led the nation in forced fumbles a couple years ago. Unfortunately, got hurt during the App State game to start the season last year. Came out with a bang this year. It's great to see him on the field. Great to see him forcing fumbles immediately. That's not just giving us something. That's a defense being takers. Marcus and the rest of the staff talk about all the time, let's be takers. They were being takers. And that looks like, App making silly mistakes, but it's not. That's the defense capitalizing right there.
So we start with a 3-and-out. App goes pretty much right down the field after we punt it to them, and then that big fumble happens that we recover, and then we have a really excellent drive right down the field.
Big boy drive for sure.
11 plays, 12 plays, 6-7 minutes off the clock, right into the end zone perfectly. And I'll hand it to you because I know you got it in front of you.
Well, I wasn't planning on going into that much detail there. That was a 10, about 5-minute drive, looks like, and 79 yards, 10 plays. So that's a solid, sustained drive. I know they gave us a penalty on third down to make us be able to go for it afterwards, which was helpful.
Well, we got the one penalty on that drive, which was beautifully done. We went for it on 3rd and 3. We didn't get it, and immediately Reynolds goes up the line, gets the hard count, and that's just great coaching. We got the defensive tackle to go off sides, gives us new life to the drive, and I that's what I really enjoyed about watching the game is how well coached we were. Like you can kind of see glimpses, and I know that, but like this year, like it seems a lot tighter. Down to Healy seeing after a timeout that we only had 10 guys on the field during a pivotal moment, and he calls timeout to restack the defense, make sure we have 11 out there.
That's
and we
mid-season form right there.
Yeah, that was really good work from him. So very happy with the coaching. The team looks real tight.
While we're on coaching, I've seen quite a few people out on the social media complaining about offensive play calling, lamenting that Alex Atkins isn't around, thought that maybe Coach Carney didn't quite have the play calling style that Alex had, keeping the defense guessing. I'm thinking part of that was probably the wetness and the lack of ability to throw the ball deep. What are your thoughts there?
Completely agree. I mean, I think, as you could see at the beginning, when it wasn't that wet, we had the 79-yard, 5-minute drive with great runs, a couple of short passes, a couple QB keepers. But, I mean, it was a well-called drive. And I think, again, I think the first, 3 or 4, we went like 2 for 4 on third down, and then we didn't get third down conversions. That was kind of a problem last year. We struggled on third down. So I don't think that's on the play calling. And like you said, I think the weather kind of got to them. And App's a good team too. Their defense started to step up, just like our defense stepped up when they needed to. So I think all those factors come into play. I think you can't criticize someone off of one game body of work, and everyone that's criticizing him, I think they need to calm down before we play Chapel Hill, because that's probably going to be a rough game as well. Let's play some conference teams and see how we're doing then, and then you can, really judge him after, 5, 6, 7 games. Give him a little body of work. Don't give him our 2 hardest games and say, oh, he's terrible at play calling. I mean, we put up 20 points against a good team. We stayed in it the whole time. I was never upset with the offense, thinking, oh, man, I don't think we're going to get this. I used to feel that way watching the team, like, this is not happening.
Yep.
Now I've got a lot more confidence in the play calling, the quarterback, the receivers. I feel like it's all there.
Yeah, it was disappointing. So I don't lay this at the feet of Coach Carney or Mac for the play calling at the end. It was just lack of conversion, but I think that's the hardest thing with losses. It'd be easy to walk away from this down 3 touchdowns and being like, whatever, we lost, so be it, let's go on to the next week. But we had 2 really good opportunities to end the game, to tie it up, or even get back within 1 score that we couldn't quite convert on. And so that was disheartening, but it's great to be in a position like that. And talk about preseason takes that don't age well, huh? We both said, let's not expect to use tight ends much. And then we got Thompson out there cracking off 2 huge catches, averaging 31 yards per reception right now.
I mean, you can never sleep on a freshman. You don't know what you don't know. And he came to play, and hopefully that continues. And, we're going to have a lot more of Thompson. So hopefully he becomes a key part of the offense as he grows and becomes a junior and a senior. So nice to see that from a freshman, especially during COVID times. I don't know how intense these practices are, but obviously he's performing.
Yep. He led receivers for yards wise. Victor Tucker cracked off 3 receptions for 23 yards. Cameron.
Victor Tucker also had a pretty awesome pass interference call. Unfortunately, college, it's only 15 yards, but that would have been a 50-yarder. He had the linebacker on him. He played it perfectly.
Yep.
He made sure to do the flop Yeah, not that he needed to. He was obviously getting held, but I mean that's what big time players do. That's why his numbers might not be as beautiful as they were last year, but he's still making an impact on the field every play.
Yeah, and those are the things that don't show up in the stat line but are huge to call out, so nice job there. Cameron Dollar was our second leading receiver with 2 receptions, 25 yards. Rico Arnold, nice to see him back on the field. He did get in the game with 1 reception, 15 yards. Trey Harbison, 1 reception for 14 yards. And Michaelius Elder, 1 reception for 5 yards. Aaron McAllister on the rushing and receiving side didn't have a big day, but had a huge kickoff return, longest return in program history. Gave us a touchdown there. Gave us a lot of life when we really needed it. Kept the game close. Really love seeing that run, and really love seeing Coach Healy run down the sideline with him.
Oh yeah, and we talked about that too. We were like, are they actually going to put him in there? What's going to happen? And he did his thing for sure. And Healy had to jump over someone to keep going down the field for that, which was awesome.
Other big offensive thing that stuck out to me, Jonathan Cruz. Looks like he is back to form that he was 2 years ago. We talked about last year, I wouldn't call it a down year, but definitely wasn't perfect all season, and I thought he had a really good day. Made some hard kicks to keep us going too.
Yeah, I think, it's all about momentum. It's with anything, and I think he got fortunate on that extra point to start the game that it fell the right way, and I think that gave him the confidence he needed for the rest of the game. I think if that would have bounced off the post the wrong way and not gone in, that could have affected his mental capacity. Just like golf, right? You get one good swing, you kind of keep going. You shank one in the water, it's the end of your day.
Unfortunately, I'm usually shanking them in the water. But speaking of water, it was very wet out too, which makes it very difficult to kick, and Healy's got to be happy to have somebody around where he can throw them out there even in the wet situations and feel comfortable that there's an opportunity for the ball to go through the uprights.
For sure.
Defensive side, we already talked about Ben DeLuca forcing the fumble. He had a total of 16 tackles, half a tackle for a loss. And then Tyler Murray, getting his first time with the Charlotte 49ers, had 14 total tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Huge start on the day for him. He also had an interception and fumble recovery. So great to see him out there. Really excited to see what Tyler Murray can do for the rest of the day. We also had Luke Martin, new to the team as well, with 11 total tackles, and Nafis Lyons playing well with 10 total tackles. And honestly, on Nafis, I really thought that the App State wide receiver, he ended up having a pretty good day. Hennigan, I thought that he kind of embodied most of what I don't enjoy about certain programs. He was a little jaw-jacky, getting up in people's faces, thought he was the man before he had really done anything for the game. Fortunately, he had a pretty big second half on us, but basically looked like a couple times he told Nafis, hey, you're not covering me, and I thought Nafis did a pretty good job. One of the big things Hennigan got was a 51-yard touchdown, and that was really due to slippage from the wet field. There was solid coverage there, went to cut back to try and cover him, and I think that was Lance McMillan, and he got an easy touchdown that he didn't really have to fight for, but stuff like that happens on turf when it's wet.
Yeah, so overall, a good showing. Anything else you want to talk about with the app game? I guess we could talk about that social media post.
Yeah, I mean, so some controversy there. We got the tight ends group throwing up middle fingers all over the place with our clublet sign that we left there last time. I saw George Floyd picture with Norm for George Floyd and the App State Mountaineer for the cop, which I thought was incredibly distasteful. But you see it on social media all the time. If you pay attention to App State and Charlotte, and granted, Charlotte fans are talking trash too, so not saying that we're completely innocent in this matter, but just the level of fight that comes out of App State for a team and a fan base that thinks they're better than us and that this isn't a rivalry and that we're lower than competition than them, you gotta think that you're not really analyzing yourself very well if you think that. From a psychoanalysis standpoint, a fan base that chooses to talk trash to us so much, call us UNC Concord, call us a commuter school, all of those things, I think they talk trash to us more than anybody else. So if you don't call that a rivalry, regardless of what happens on the field, you can say you're 3-0 against us. But if we're really below you, you're not even taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah. Well, I think they see the winds of change coming, and they're only 2-0. Don't give them that extra win.
Against us?
Yeah.
They blew us out the first time they came to Charlotte.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
But that tells you how much change we've had, right? So they blew us out that time. Wasn't even close. And then the last 2 years, big dog on campus, best team in North Carolina, barely beats us both times.
Yeah.
Had a chance to lose that game both times. And fortunately for them, they came out ahead. But Healy would tell you we have to win before it becomes a rivalry. But with the amount of trash talking that goes on, I think they're a little upset that they can't even crack into Conference USA, have to stay down in the Sun Belt, and be the best of the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I mean, I think the proper analogy, as I like to call them, hot take here, everyone will appreciate this, comparing it to our football and basketball rivalries. They are the trashy Davidson, right? And almost a reverse kind of feel where we've dominated Davidson forever. And then obviously since the Steph Curry time, even though we beat Steph Curry, they've gotten better recruits and they've won the Hornets Nest trophy a few more times than I'd like, but we're starting to get back on the up and up. And I feel like this is kind of the opposite of that. App's been big dog of North Carolina, mid-major schools, whatever you want to call it in football. And they see Will Healy here. We actually can keep a coach, and they have to go to an offensive lineman that, was there for 20 years because they don't want to lose another coach. But he's not the sexy coach that Will Healy is. Will Healy will leave us probably at some point for a big school, but hopefully he'll make his mark here, and we'll bring in bigger and better coaches to continue kind of the path he's laid. App obviously doesn't have that pipeline, and they've maxed out. They need to move to a different conference, but I think they see that when that conference opportunity opens up, we're probably going to slip ahead of them because we're in Charlotte and we've got a bigger, better school, great AD, great facilities. They want to be us, and they need to take their hits while they can, while they're on top, because they know they're not going to be on top much longer.
Yep. Unfortunately, they will keep that on-top status over us for the next 6 years until we get a chance to take it back. But by then, we may be at the point where we're canceling that game because they're below us. We'll see. But I feel like we have drowned out the App State talk enough. I think if we talk about them too much, then they actually feel like they're relevant to us, which I don't think is the case. So let's talk about Chapel Hill. You're always the guy with the lines. What are we looking at next week?
So it's mixed a little bit. It's about 10 points higher than App was. App was at 17 at the end of the day, which we did cover. It's at 27, 27.5, 28. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously, we're talking about this earlier in the week. We'll see how it changes as it gets closer to the game. But call it 4 touchdowns and pretty much a similar over-under of, I believe, 61. The App game was 60, 59.5. So basic college line with the over-under. 28's a lot, but we saw Chapel Hill pre-ranked top 25, Mac Brown, great coach, and they pretty much demolished Syracuse, who, not saying they're a great team, but they were pretty good last year in ACC.
Conference opponent, too.
Conference opponent, yeah. So should be fun, I guess. They also have a pretty good quarterback in Sam Howell, so that's something to be on the lookout for. He played okay against Syracuse, 300 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. But
295. Let's not round up for our opponent here.
Apologies. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, their running game is pretty solid too. They have a 2-headed monster. Both those guys had 50, 60 yards, 3 touchdowns. We saw how we handled the 2-headed monster of App not very well in the running game. So I think they're going to be a bigger, badder, a better coached team in a better conference. This is going to be App on steroids. I think if we can stay on the field and look like we belong, like I believe we did with App, I think that's a win. I don't expect a W here, and honestly, I don't really expect us to cover either. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Okay, you're going that way this time. So the guy who picked us to win App State, which wasn't a terrible take, it didn't happen, but it was a possibility up until maybe 10 minutes left in the game. So that's a nice place to be. Is going to flip and say we don't cover 28.
I don't want to say
27.
I'm going to flip. If you remember on our pre-football show last week, you said, I want to wait. I want to see. I'll make a decision when it gets closer to the game.
Yep.
I said right then that we were going to lose that game against Chapel Hill.
Yep.
So I'm just sticking to my guns here. Like I said, I think the team looks great. I think once we get into conference play, we'll show what we're made of. But this is the best team we're playing all year, and they're a really good team. And I think if college football was normal and everyone was playing, this Chapel Hill team would be top 10 and potentially, could be in the national championship conversation. So I don't think it's a bad loss losing to them or getting demolished by them, just like we got demolished by Clemson last year.
Yep.
I think it'll be a similar outcome.
See, I'm not going to give them that much respect. I think it's going to be a tough fight. 27-28, that's a lot of points. It happens all the time in college football, don't get me wrong. But I think it's close to that. I think that as the week goes on, that line shifts down a point or two based on our performance this week. We'll see how early betting goes. But I feel like 28's a reasonable score. Like, I think we could cover that. Not by much. Maybe it's like 24 to 26 points, however that comes out in football numbers there. The thing that really worries me is Marquise Watts is injured right now. He's getting a X-ray down on his leg to see what's going on there. So if he can't go, that obviously reduces the amount of front push we have on the defense, which is difficult. That's a position that's always – you always need as much depth as possible. So that would be a big blow for us to be able to put pressure on Sam Howell. And then the other thing that scares me too is obviously we had our hands full with App State blocking the run, and we had our hands full with App State trying to cover their wideouts, which we did pretty solid at, I thought. But looking at how Chapel Hill did last week, they had 10 receivers catch at least one pass. Brown caught 6 receptions for 94 yards, and Carter caught 6 receptions for 60 yards. That's a lot of different people to try and cover in different schemes. So I think that is probably our biggest point of potential emphasis or weakness there is how do we control the passing game? Can we get a takeaway or two? Howell obviously threw 2 interceptions last week. Possible he could do that again, and that would be really where I see us being able to cover in that front.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Chapel Hill is, not JV compared to App. So I think this will be a fun game. I'm glad we have it on the calendar. I think Mac Brown's a good coach. I don't think they're going to be taking middle finger pictures with Club Lit. I think it'll be a decent game. I'm hoping for the best, and we'll see what happens. The other interesting thing, again, we're talking about this early in the week. There's the COVID protocols and multiple tests and things.
Yep.
This is the first game that happened now, so we'll see, what that trickle effect is, and things that could affect the line and affect us. Could be, a Chris Reynolds or someone testing positive of some, or a potential test where he can't play,
Sure.
or vice versa. Maybe Sam Howell. We don't know what COVID football looks like. I hope everyone's healthy and things work out, but who knows, how things are going to play out after the first week of football.
It'll certainly be interesting. And one way or another, win or loss, we'll be back here to recap the carnage, hopefully, on the Charlotte 49ers, creating some carnage for Chapel Hill.
Yeah, for sure. So anything else you want to cover? Any hot takes? Any last things you want to tell everyone before we get out of here and get ready for Chapel Hill?
I think my hot take is going to be that Chris Reynolds turns it around with a drier field this week, throws for over 250 yards.
Okay. Now, are you a weatherman? Like, do you know?
No, I have no idea the weather's going to be better. I'm just praying on that front. So I'll stipulate it with, if the weather is better, I think Chris Reynolds shows that he can still throw the football. This week, obviously, he was not getting any sort of push on it. It was floating. It was taking a long time to get to the receivers. It was looking real difficult. I look for that turnaround. I think he throws for over 250 yards.
I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
It's a hot take.
because I think he throws for 250 yards as well, but I think it's because we're down by 4 touchdowns all the time.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
My hot take is Trey Harbison, who I'm going to learn his name after this game.
Yep.
Is going to end up with at least 1 touchdown run against Chapel Hill.
That's a hot take? That's a guaranteed 2.
Okay.
Maybe we should flip hot takes so that yours feels like a hot take for me and mine feels like a hot take for you.
We'll see what happens. I think he has our lone touchdown.
Okay, that's fair.
So I think 8 touchdown means a lot. But we'll see.
Lone touchdown is a hotter take.
Yeah.
That's just the one that happens.
Yeah. But we'll see. I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I look forward to the game and excited to be on maybe not national TV, but I think we're on the ACC
Regional network.
which I hope I have on my YouTube TV. I'm guessing I do.
You should. It'll probably be Fox Sports or something like that.
Okay, cool. So I'm pumped to watch the game, 3:30 kickoff, and looking forward to continuing to enjoy this season. Looking forward to hopefully maybe going to a game at the end of the year if that's possible.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So until next time when we recap Chapel Hill and look towards the future, remember to always wear green
And go Niners.